Going on to the next topic, this is Deciphering the Puranic Universe, Bhu-mandala as the Horizontal Plane. This is by Dr. Mauricio Garrido. I don't want to get the pronunciation wrong. I'm reading it as I can. From the days of yore, the human being is gazing at the vast cosmic chandelier decorating the night sky. Cosmology is one of the most challenging subjects in Vedantic science. So does it reconcile with modern science? So to enlighten us about the cosmos and our existence in it, we have with us Dr. Mauricio Garrido. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's an honor, and I hope to be able to give you some insights into the universe on this day. Let me share my screen with you then.
Just before we start, I want to request the technical team to ensure that we don't get into trouble we got on the last session about the annotations. When there is screen sharing, please, Dr. Garrido, could you just wait for a moment before you share the screen? Just want to ensure that there are no vandalism being done on the... If you can disable the screen sharing option right now, the annotations on your screen sharing. Because there's somebody with a little bit of mischief has crept into the group and we don't want him to vandalize your presentation. Okay, someone is now saying that we can draw clothes in the hangers. That art is not vandalism. So clearly it's 74R now. It's me, A312T Das, not somebody. Okay, so clearly lots of action going on. So sorry. Can you technical people please take care of this? We don't want this presentation to be disturbed.
Yeah. So there was a message from the audience. Somebody was guiding that in the security, you have that option disable annotation. So that option is not available in the security. This. Then can somebody again write the message in chat window how to disable annotations? Somebody also said that speaker can do that.
Now 74R has entered the waiting room. So don't admit whoever it is, if at all.
Yeah. So there is a message from Radhapati Prabhu, Murli Gopal Prabhu. He's saying
Yes.
first share screen, step 1, and step 2 is pick off the annotations.
Okay, so...
Okay, when you share the screen, so when you'll start this sharing your screen, you will get an option to disable annotations.
Okay, let me see. Security. And
also
I unticked the annotate on shared content. So
yes. So
okay, so hopefully that...
You have to take it off if it is on, I guess.
Go to the view option. There is another. So I think Murli Gopal Prabhu, you have tick off or you have allowed it or disabled it. Can you?
I have unticked it in the security.
Okay, right.
I think probably Rajam's Prabhu or so. It says Kainila Rajan. That looks like Rajam's Prabhu. He's raised his hand. You can unmute him.
So somebody is saying Divyans is also saying it is done. And okay. If
Okay,
it is
let's
done,
try.
then we
Let's
can go
start.
ahead. Okay. Let us go then.
Please start, Malika Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much. So today we're looking then at trying to decipher the Puranic universe. Well, why is that? What is there to decipher? Well, let us first look at what the Puranas is, because we're talking about the Puranic universe. The Puranas are ancient texts from India, and they're treasure houses of wisdom. They can help us navigate through life, and they give us a vision of the universe and our place in it. Now, there's a great mystery, and is that the descriptions of the Puranic universe are very different from those of the observable universe. There are many scholars, both in ancient times and in recent times, who have been trying to figure out how to reconcile the differences between the descriptions of this Puranic universe and the Jyotish Shastras, or of modern astronomy. In the Jyotish Shastras, just for those of you who don't know, is the astrological tradition of India. So within some of the greatest mysteries are what is Bhu-mandala, or the Earth disk that is described in it, and what is the meaning of these different heights or planets. So what I'm going to show you today is, first I'm going to go through the Puranic universe and the Jyotish tradition as to how they view the universe. Then I'll be going into a way in which at the Bhaktivedanta Institute we have tried to look at Bhu-mandala in order to understand a little bit more about these things, and building upon what has been done by our predecessors. And we want to ask also the question of, is there life on other planets? And at the very end, I will briefly give a little bit of try to bring it home, like, what does all this mean to us? And can we do something with it by giving you a mathematical model of the gunas? So let us look at the Puranic universe and the Jyotish. We understand the observable universe nowadays as, okay, here's the Earth, then the Earth is in the solar system. The solar system is within the solar interstellar neighborhood, which is in the Milky Way galaxy, which is within the local galactic group, which is within the Virgo supercluster, and this is in the local superclusters, which is just a little part of the observable universe. Now, Jyotish also sees the Earth as a globing float in space, as we do here, but it's in a very smaller scale within the solar system. And in fact, Jyotish would be, if you look at it, is very similar to the Ptolemaic model that was in medieval Europe, and it worked perfectly and fine. For if you're doing things without telescopes. Here's a picture of what it looks like when you. This is one of the features also, and is that in Jyotish we have a geocentered model. In the modern world, modern astronomy, we do not have anything in the center. There's nothing in the center here, because the Earth is going around the sun is going around the solar interstellar neighborhood, this one is going around the Milky Way galaxy, which is going around the local galactic group, which is going around, everything is going around everything, but there is no center to all of these things. Now, that is not necessarily a flaw, by the way, to have a geocentric model. It just means that you're using the Earth as, the place where you're looking everything away, everything else too. And you could also, shift your coordinates to the sun, which would make the motions a little bit simpler for some calculations. If you notice in here, the geocentric model will ask you to have the orbits of the planets not in ellipses as we have in the solar-centered model, but as spirals that go around, and it will describe the motions of the planets just as well. So now, how do we see the Puranic universe? Well, it starts very differently. There is the spiritual worlds, and there are many of those, and then there's the material worlds down here. And in between the two of them, they're all floating in the Brahmajyoti, and in between the two, there's the Kailas, where Shiva, well, not even Shiva, but Sadashiva is there. And in this Karana ocean, in this where Lord one of the three Vishnus, Karana Dakshali Vishnu, is there. There are innumerable universes. Ours is just one of them. And these universes, or these Brahmandas, right, they are divided into two parts. One is the heavenly region, and one is the subterranean region. This subterranean region is filled with amniotic water, and it's called Garbhodaka Ocean. And what is in between them is this strange thing that is called Bhu-mandala, or the Earth disk. And as you can see here, this disk is made up of concentric rings. The center of these concentric rings, there is this huge mountain called Mount Meru, which looks like the pericarp of lotus. And there's a series of concentric rings that go from between an ocean ring, an ocean island, an ocean ring, an ocean island, ring island, ring island, like that. Now, for some of you, you may already be saying, well, this is absolutely completely different. How we don't see any of this. How does this have anything to do with reality? And I will just ask you to please bear with me a little bit longer. But at least for now, just notice how much of a difficulty it is for all of these great sages in the past to try to reconcile these two. It's absolutely different. So I'm just giving you all of the magnitude of what it is, and then we'll later look at how we can find actual information about the universe in what you're seeing. So within these concentric rings, the 7 inner rings of island, ocean, is what's called Saptadvip, or the 7 islands, right? And the last one of them is encircled by this mountain that is called Manasotera Mountain. We'll talk about this Manasotera Mountain in a little while. And just for completeness, I won't talk very much about these, but there's 3 regions beyond this Saptadvip, which is the Loka, or the inhabited land. Then there's Kanchani Bhumi, which is the golden land right here. And then there is the Aloka Varsha, which is a region of complete darkness, right? And there is this mountain that's called Loka Mountain in between the two. And this goes all the way up to the edge of the universe. So here's a small video. Here you see the central island, which is called Jambudvip, and the Mount Meru, or Sumeru, depends sometimes. And this is the center island. In this center island, you have a lot of different varshas in it. The southernmost of these varshas is called Bharat Varsha. And in the mountain range that is just above it is called the Himalayas. Here you can see the extent of this of these rings, and you will notice that every time they become like bigger and bigger. I will show you in a second a little bit of this ratio. And this mountain range here that you see, that's the Lokalaka mountain, which is dividing the region of light with the region of darkness. Okay, so as I mentioned, there is this features of island ocean, and in fact, what we see in here is that there's it doubles in size. You have the thickness of the island is the same as the thickness of the ocean that is surrounding it, but then the next island is twice as thick as this first island, and then again you have the ocean, which is the same which is the same thickness, and it keeps growing like that. That's why you saw things moving out so much more. On the last one, as I mentioned, there is the Manasutra mountain, which is encircling the last of these islands, and this is right. It divides it into two halves. This Manasutra mountain is important because it is said that the chariot of the sun is linked to it. The one of the wheel is there on Manasutra mountain, and the axle goes between that wheel and Mount Meru, and the actual chariot of the sun moves in between. This is a more realistic view of in terms of the dimensions that are given. Now, if that wasn't enough, you know, this complete weird understanding of the universe, right? You also have something which is a sequence of planets that seem very strange if you're looking at it as distances from the Earth. And from here, you can see on this side, on the right side, there's Bhu-mandala, and there's you know, some planets that some planets that go above it, and some planets that go below it. Especially the above it, you will see that there is a sun, and above the sun there's the moon, and then there's a group of stars, and then there's Venus, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Ursa Major, and Dhruva-loka, or the pole star. And you go like, that doesn't seem to make much sense. Again, we will look at this and try to figure out what it is that they're saying. The Jyotish Shastri, you know, those learned sages that did Jyotish, how did they understand this? Well, one of the things that they said was that this big Mount Meru, it could be the axial, the Earth's rotational axis, and that the worlds below Bhu-mandala are actually caverns inside the Earth. So whatever is above Bhu-mandala is actually whatever is outside, and whatever is below Bhu-mandala is actually inside. Okay, that solves some things to some degree, not very well, right? And they also say that this Jambudvip, the center island, right, I showed you, which has this tract of land called Bharatvarsha in the south, and that has the Himalayas right here. They said, well, we know where that is. That is the one thing that we actually know where it is. So let's make this Jambudvip, the center island, let that be the northern hemisphere. So they look at Bhu-mandala as the horizontal plane. The Jyotish understanding, they say, let us project this strange Bhu-mandala onto a sphere, right? And we'll match it in such a way that Bharatvarsha, which is, you know, India, right? It matches with it, and we'll have the rest of the 6 other dvipas and oceans be in the southern hemisphere, and let it be the same thickness. And in this left picture here, you will see that there was a globe that is attributed to Maharaj Jai Singh of Jaipur, and it goes back to the 18th century. And it seems like this is how the Jyotish understood, and it has come to be known as the standard accommodation nowadays, and which is to project the Jambudvip onto the whole Bhu-mandala in this specific way. Now, why would they put all of these islands and oceans in the same thickness and in the south like that? It doesn't seem very congruent if you want to keep proportions. So that is where we started our research here, and is we using computer graphics and mathematics, we projected it in a way that you would have it keep those proportions of island ocean, which becomes so big like that. When you project it, it actually becomes very, very small. And in fact, what you see is that the Jambudvip and the Salt Ocean, which is surrounding Jambudvip, doesn't just go till the equator as in Jai Singh's ball here, but it actually goes all the way up to 48 degrees south of the equator, which is near Tierra del Fuego, which is the southernmost portion of Argentina in South America. Now, this is important because this is like the last bit of habitable Earth. Below that, you just have Antarctica. So if we, what we see is that this Jambudvip and the Salt Ocean is really representing the whole of the habitable Earth. So that makes sense, right? And in fact, we can see that this sort of projection of, because you would say like, well, why would they want to create this Bhu-mandala? Well, we see here is that this Hindu astrolabe, which was something that was very, very common in ancient times. It was used to navigate and to find star constellations, and it's this plane, it's this projection that is made there. Besides that, if you have such a model as this Bhu-mandala as a projection, right, then you can see you can describe the daily and the yearly motions of the sun, the clockwise motion as the daily motion, and the anti-clockwise motion as the yearly motion. So now you can talk about the motions within this model. But there's another way that we can also project this. If you ask how do I include the distances of the sun and planets, so now we want to put even more information than just have this polar projection of the Earth. We want to put more information in this. We want to have the distances of the sun and the planets. Then you need to expand it, right? So if you expand it, well, how are you going to expand it? There are many different ways of doing it, so that you can include this information of Mercury, the moon, the sun, all of these. And this is what we call the antivirus model, because of the people who were working on it. Take the distance from the North Pole to the South Pole going along the surface of the Earth, right? To be the distance from the center of Bhu-mandala all the way up to the last of Saptadvip, right? The ocean that is surrounding the last one of these islands in Saptadvip. And with that, you will be able to get an expansion that goes almost up to Jupiter, right? And what happens when you do this? So some very nice and interesting things you see. On On the left here, you see the features. There's Mount Meru right here at where it would be 90 degrees, right? Then it goes Jambudvip, which we talked about, and it goes island, ocean, island, ocean, island, ocean. And on the right side, I put the things that we are able to see, the features of the Earth that we are able to match with it. You will see that we have the equator. We have a matching with the equator. We have a matching with the Tropic of Cancer. We have a matching with the Tropic of Capricorn. There's the midways between the equator and the North Pole, and the equator and the South Pole. We also get the Arctic Circle. You know, it matches up with would be the key ocean. We have the northernmost land. There's a correspondence there between one of the features of Bhu-mandala and the Earth in the northernmost land. And there's also an interesting one that I found, which is there is this limit. There's beyond which no passenger ship could travel further north up until 1994. That was like, if you were going on a ship, that was as far north as you could get. So there are many different interesting things that come in here because of that doubling of size that I talked about. So this doubling of size helps us to get these features. And as I will explain in a moment, this model will also explain the motions of the sun and the planets to some degree. In this here, you see the geocentric model. You have the Earth in the center, and you have the sun going around it, right? Again, this is just what coordinate system. This is not to say that the Earth is at the center of the universe. No, it's if you take the center of the coordinate systems on the Earth, this is how everything will look like. So if you take the Earth to be at the center of your coordinate system, then the sun will go around it, and obviously all the other planets are going around the sun. So if you have that, then you see that the way that the planets will look like from the point of view of Earth is going to be like a spiral. Now, if you put the Bhu-mandala right behind it, then you're going to see that these geocentric orbits, for example, here of Venus, are matched with the features of Bhu-mandala in such a way that the features of Bhu-mandala are pointing to the boundaries of some of these of some of these planets. Now, I mentioned also the vertical direction, which, as you remember, it was completely strange. It was what is this? You know, the moon beyond above the sun, and then Venus like that. It doesn't make any sense. Well, the first thing that we try to see is, are they talking about maybe the distance from the ecliptic plane, basically the plane where the sun, you know, is going around the Earth, or where the Earth is going around the sun, right? Depending on where you want to situate the center of your coordinate systems. So maybe it's this angular distance, right? Here we would have it for the moon. So on this table here, we listed all the maximum inclination that you could have there, and then we plotted it. And as you can see here, we have the sun, the moon, the Venus, in the sequence that is given in the Puranas, but it makes no sense. So no, it can't be the sequence of planets. It can't be just simply the inclination of the orbits. It has to be something else. Well, if you look at it from the point of view of Jyotish, the sun and the moon are actually the most influential planets on the astrological chart. And because of that, then they are closer to us. That means they would be closer to Bhu-mandala. So that makes sense, right? That you, if you're talking in terms of Jyotish, and you're talking about influence of these planets on us, then you would put them closer. Then the 28 nakshatras, which are the group of stars, they're said to be the wives of the moon god, and you would expect them to follow their husband, so they would come after that. And they also have an important role in terms of creating reference points in the planisphere, or in this astrolabe that I talked to you about. And okay, well, what about this Venus, Mercury, and Mars? Well, they are said, according to Jyotish, to be the inner planets, and they correspond to a person's inner life. While Jupiter and Saturn, they correspond to a person's external or social life. So you would expect them to be further away than this. So it's important to note also that in the Bhagavad Purana, there's a chapter describing the planets, and they all use these Jyotish terms. So in the understanding that we're giving here is actually congruent with the Puranic narrative. Now, here's a big question. Is there life on other planets? Right? Because, okay, now that we see that okay, so this Bhu-mandala makes some sense, and this vertical direction also makes some sense in terms of what we can actually perceive, but it's just encoded information, right? That is what it has. It's encoded information. You have to understand the code. But is there, can this knowledge bring us something interesting, which is, the question: is there life on other planets? And the answer of the Puranas to this is yes, there is life on other planets, and there's intelligent life on other planets. What's more, but we have to ask the question of how are we looking for life on other planets, right? There is the SETI, which is the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, which is a program that has been going on since the 1980s, in which we have been trying to receive or send radio signals to the universe. It's trying to see if somebody picks it up, or if we can pick up something from somebody. So that there is that avenue that has been going on, and the other one, which is we have been looking at the planet's chemical and physical composition in regards to what we consider habitable. And we consider that, okay, some planets, depending on their composition and their temperature and pressures like that, they could harbor life, according to what we have seen in here. But our definitions of what is habitable and what is inhabitable are constantly changing, aren't they? As we have been looking at life here on Earth itself. And if we're sending radio signals, then we have to ask, well, is this almost like sending out a telegram to somebody who has a cell phone? This is the best we can do right now. Maybe yes, maybe no. Can they pick up radio signals and understand what we're saying? Are they even looking at radio signals? So what the Puranas tell us is that if we want to find intelligent life out there, we have to tune in our consciousness, right? Why? Because depending on what our senses can pick up, we'll experience very different realities. Here, I'm showing you what the Crab Nebula looks like in different different parts of the spectrum. We have the Crab Nebula in the visible light, in the ultraviolet, infrared, radio waves, X-rays, and gamma rays, right? And it looks very different in each one of them. So depending on what your senses are picking up, you'll experience a very different reality. And here's the thing, is that our senses are picking up a lot of things that we are not really aware of. For example, if you're in a party, right, and you're talking to somebody, there's so much going on. There's a lot of different people talking around. There's maybe music also going on, and there's lights, there's things like that. But you are focused on a conversation, and you can you can be completely unaware of what is going on if the conversation is a really good conversation, right? So it may be that our senses are picking up a lot of these other things that are going on outside, but we're just not being aware of that. And this is what the Yoga Sutras is telling us, and is that the mind, as the mind becomes more focused with the meditation, then our perception of other realms where there are other beings becomes possible. Let me say that again. As the mind becomes more focused with the meditation, as it goes more into the sattva mode, then the perception of other realms becomes more possible. And in fact, the Sankhya philosophy also says that the yogis and the devatas can perceive these things that are called tanmatras, which the humans can't. So what is the difference between the human and the yogis? Well, as a human, can become a yogi by performing all of these meditations that are prescribed in the Yoga Sutras, and they can sharpen their mind in a way by raising it to the sattva mode more and more. Now, how does the questions that we have to ask is, how does perception work according to Sankhya? And how does perception work according to the, based on the gunas? This is something that we have to research a little bit more, because it's not absolutely clear. But there are ways of looking at it. There's little bits of information here and there in the different traditions. And this will give us a possibility of looking at maybe our Earth or universe not just as this ball of matter that is just there, right? But there may be these tanmatra planes that we're not aware of at this moment, and that somebody who does develop this ability, they can perceive. Right? And I know that I'm probably running out of time right now, so I'm just going to give you one last thing here, and is that you can say, well, this thing of this seems of being able to access that, it doesn't seem to be scientific, but actually we can talk about the gunas in a very scientific way. A year ago, we published at this mathematical model of the gunas in the International Journal of Indian Psychology, where we created this model in which there were three axes, right? There's the sattva, rajas, and tamas axis, which go from 0 to 100%. And we made it such that sattva plus rajas plus tamas equals 100%, right? Because it doesn't make sense to have 100 plus 100 plus 100, right? So that would limit our space down to this to this triangle, and there any point in that triangle, you will have a certain amount of sattva, rajas, and tamas, all of which add up to 100. And any point then here in this in this triangle will be a mixture of these three gunas. And you could represent one of those points, like this red one, as the state of mind, and these blue ones could be elements from the environment that are acting on my state of mind. So these points that are acting as attractors, that's what we call them in the paper, attractors of the state of mind. They pull it, and we with a certain force. Now, what is that force? We just made a very simple model of what that force, would be like, and we put this into we use this model to reproduce the experimental results that Wolf and Abel, who are social scientists, they made with the gunas in 2003. And the experimental results were quite close to the simulations that we did using this mathematical model. Furthermore, we used this model and plugged it into a model that was already in the decision-making theory, which is a branch of economics. And in here, we're just showing like one of the ways in which we plugged it in, which was changing some of the parameters. And we were able to show that depending on where our state of consciousness is, it can influence your decisions. Let me say that again. Depending on where your state of consciousness is, if it's more sattvic, rajasic, or it can influence the way that you make decisions. We were able to show that with this model. So just concluding, the Puranas do seem to describe the universe that we see, and they codify very interesting information. And again, they codify, so you have to look for it, what it is. And there is intelligence life out there according to the Puranas, but we have to know how to perceive it, how to look for it. And we can study the gunas and consciousness scientifically, as we showed in with the mathematical model of the gunas. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah. That was wonderful, Dr. Garrido. And I just want to spare a few minutes before we get into the Q&A. Because of that initial disturbance due to that annotations problem, I couldn't properly introduce Dr. Garrido. Dr. Mauricio Garrido is a BS in Electrical Engineering and Physics from the Universidad de Los Andes, and is an MS Ph.D. in Physics from the Ohio University. He has worked at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. He has served at Columbia University in New York City as a postdoctoral research scientist. His research includes Puranic cosmology, Vaisnava philosophy, quantum field and information theory, general relativity, consciousness studies, and the philosophy of the mind. So as a member of the Bhaktivedanta Institute for Higher Studies, BIHS, since 2015, he develops courses on theology and science, including Vedic concepts of cosmography, consciousness, and physics. He has made several presentations at universities and international conferences, and it was a proud privilege for us to have his presence today in these sessions. Thank you so much. I want to just open the floor for questions. We are requesting, if possible, that the questions could be WhatsApped to the group and then that could be raised.
No, now, Rishi Kumar Prabhu, so we have opened the chat.
Yeah.
So now people can raise their questions. There are a few questions also. So I am reading questions for Dr. Mauricio. And the first question is, so this comment has come from Reshma, and she's saying, Hare Krishna, the earth is a part of Bharatvarsha and India is Bharat Khanda. The 6 other dvipas are not part of the earth. They cannot be reached by humans. So your model showing all dvipas of Bhu-mandala on earth is questionable.
Okay, that's a good question. You know, like where are all these other places, right?
Yes.
So as I mentioned, can you see them? No, you cannot see them. A lot of these places you cannot see them. So let me go back.
Marigopatro, actually, Reshma Mataji responded saying she's already got the answer from your last few slides.
Okay.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So I was just actually, so now the question, yeah, the question has come from, next question is Narsimhanand Das. So where did the astronauts go when they said they went to the moon, or when Japan brings back rocks from the moon?
So if they are bringing back from the moon, well, they're bringing back from the moon, right? But as I showed, they're the reality that they're seeing, and the reality that the yogis and the devatas are seeing is different, because the devatas and the yogis are able to see the tan matras as well as the mahabhutas. So these ten matras, if we want to be able to perceive them, we would have to raise our consciousness to more sattvic levels, and then we will be able to experience these kind of things. Now, this is an ongoing work that we have, and is to understand how perception actually works, according to the Sankhya model and to the yoga model, so that we can describe a little bit better in terms of and show quantitatively how you can actually have these experiences.
Okay, so the another question has come from Prabhat Kumar Singh. He's asking, sir, please can you clarify the model where sun goes around the sun? For other planets, as you said, the cosmological model is geocentric.
Sun goes around the earth.
Sun goes around the earth. For other planets, as you said, that the cosmological model is geocentric.
The Puranic and the Jyotish is geocentric, meaning that the center of their coordinate system is on Earth, right? But you could have it anywhere else. You could have it in Mars. You could shift it. A lot of people here are from engineering background. In first year, you learn how to shift from one reference frame to another reference frame, right? That is not so difficult. So when you look at it from the point of view of the Earth, meaning if you have your coordinate system based on Earth, then things are going to look in some way. And I showed that there are all of these spirals going around. When the orbits of the planets look like spirals. But if you do it from the point of view of the sun, then you're going to have all the planets are going to have these elliptical orbits. And if you do it from the point of view of the center of the galaxy, it's going to be very different as well. So in all of this, it's really a question of how do you want to, where do you want to put your the center of your reference frame.
Okay, so one question from Kuldeep Kumar: is there a single universe or multiverse?
Well, according to the Bhagavad Purana and all the Puranas, there are multiple universes, and the modern in modern physics and astronomy, they are open to the possibility that there could be other universes. They call it the multiverse, but it's not. It hasn't been experimentally seen. So the scientists are very cautious about it. They say that there is the possibility of such.
Okay, so another question from Saurabh Tiwari: is Mount Meru equal to rotational axis? Is just understanding of Jyotish, or it's different?
Well, as I mentioned, we could have it could be just that from the Jyotish perspective. But if you add the idea of Sankhya philosophy, right? If you add the idea that there are these 10 matras that you are not able to see, perceive that directly, then there is a possibility of having a solid, a mountain of solid gold that is called Mount Meru, which is really that big.
Okay. So another question from Paulami. We hear in Srimad Bhagavatam classes that we do have to cross the Surya Mandala to reach Chandra Mandal from Bhu-mandala. Is it in relevance with physical solar planetary system?
Well, it's not that from the point of view of, okay, from the line of sight, right? If I go from the Earth to the sun and going through the moon like that's not going to work, because you're not talking about anymore about the three-dimensional space that we're talking about here, right? If you look at that vertical dimension, I showed that it doesn't make sense to talk about a straight line because it goes all over the place. So when they're talking about these distances like that, they're talking about something, another space. They're talking about, they're looking at it in other terms. So we have to understand that better instead of just trying to say like, oh, if I take a spaceship and I go on three-dimensional space, this is what I will first look, and then I will get to the next one, and then I will get to the next one.
Okay, so there are still a lot of messages coming, questions, but still we are running short of time. So thank you, Dr. Mauricio, and thank you participants for asking a lot of questions. Again, we'll give answers to the all relevant questions and through email or voice words. Okay, now we can go to the next speaker.
Yeah, just one sec. I've got one quick suggestion.
Yes.
I'm just removing this person. He's deliberately coming back again and again, whatever is his position. I mean, it's fine. I mean, all glories to him. Very intelligent personality. He's trying to have his own score in this. My request is that we, after this, we lock the entry. It's for about at least half an hour, and Jyotisha Prabhu's presentation starts.
Yeah.
So that, and if you remove him, then we remove him fully. So at least he won't come back. It's whoever it is, we pray for him that whoever he believes in, the Lord or the devil or any comic character he believes in, he gives him intelligence that he not disturb the life of other human beings, and we pray for him. So please lock entry as well as close the chat and everything else. And now I just wanted to thank Dr. Mauricio Garrido for a wonderful presentation. Even for the interesting part is that I just was having a session on the fifth canto recently with some of my online students. And just today I was supposed to give them a recap. And I told them, instead of attending my presentation, you must come online and listen to Dr. Garrido. And Reshma was actually from my online group. And thank you very much. It was a wonderful presentation. And at some point of time, maybe we'll touch base with you for even more such sessions for us through ISS. Thank you again. And